Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Grizzly and Henny's Paranormal Cryptid Conspiracies. Reality or fiction. Hello,
Hello.
Thomas.
Crazy
Hello,
witch.
Brian. Crazy Witch Liana. Brian. Oh, Brian. I cannot keep a straight face. Hey, Roger. How you doing, Roger? So, tonight's subject, what are we going to talk about?
It's a big subject, man. Talk about giants a little bit, right? Something. It's a lot of variation to the subject, and a lot of different aspects to it. So we can cover
Hi,
some
Norma.
different
Welcome,
ground,
everybody,
right?
to the show. So yeah, so giants, I do know for a fact that they did exist. You know, whether they get them confused with Bigfoot or from the biblical realm, uh, I don't know. Uh, we was talking before the show. We had those two, and I don't know who it was, Norma, Thomas, Crazy Witch, Brian. If y'all remember the two Mason people, two cousins, they had their own TV series there for a while, and they were hunting giants across America. You remember that series?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yes, they were hunting giants, and they
I don't know
only
what the
had
name
like
of it.
2 seasons, and they were like, and they disappeared.
Got
And
too
it's
close to
like,
something.
yes. And they were finding, newspaper articles. They were finding where the bodies were buried. They were tracking down family members that had them. When you say giants, how big we're talking 8 to 12 foot tall or more.
Mm-hmm.
Double row teeth. That's what we're talking about. So
It's
yeah,
been documented for many years. I mean, there's all the way down to back in the 1500s when the Spaniards were attacking different countries. They have documentation of fighting off giants. So, let alone there's definitely newspapers out there that talk about it. There's a lot of evidence that circles around it, and I don't know how you deny that they ever did exist. In my book, what are they? That's another question
all right,
to be
Crazy
to be
Witch, you're gonna
solved.
make me go do my own fact checking here. Show on finding giants. It was two cousins. They were Mason. I'm not even typing. Look, see, there were two cousins. They were Mason people, bricklayers, concrete layers, whatever you want to call them.
Hmm.
And they went on a medicine. I don't know if it was the History Channel, and they were really good, and everybody was into it.
Yeah, I heard about that. Brian was talking about someone mentioned giants immediately. He thought about the Afghanistan giant that took a special forces team. Actually, he took out a special forces team. I think they had to send another team in to capture it and take it down. I heard about that story before too, and they ended up helicoptering it out of there and flew it in. There was a guy that whistle blew about it, and he said that he was there where it arrived, and they unloaded it from a plane in the back of a cargo, and he said it was incredible how big it was. It was just, but yeah, it wiped out the first team that it came across in no time. So that was pretty
Allegedly,
cool.
they said that uh, they told the family members that IED took out the first team. See, and
Do you
everything I'm
believe that?
pulling up, yeah. Now everything I'm pulling up on the internet now is the Giants baseball team or football team.
Yeah, it's
But
hard to.
there was a show, uh, History of Giant People, but I don't remember what it was called. It was two masonry people, and what they did is they traveled around America and they looked at the history of giants located in America and southern Canada. and their show was doing really good. And for the season after that, whoa, turn that off. Turn that off. During the second season, they just disappeared off the face of the earth. The show did, and it was just like, so I don't know what happened. I don't know, like you said, if they got too close or so. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we're talking about with the Smithsonian possibly taking stuff and covering it up. Who knows? You know, I definitely think there's some government conspiracy there, and no idea. Definitely, there's a lot to be said about it.
hey Russell, how you doing? Welcome to the show. There,
Russell. But there's been hundreds and thousands of newspaper articles.
Yeah,
about
history, search for the lost giants, Jim and Bell. See, there we go. The stonemason people. That's it, Rebecca. I knew somebody would know. Yes, I knew I wasn't crazy. That's right. That was the TV series, and it just stopped. Like, why? So, yes, that was the series. So, and I don't know why they stopped it, because it was doing so well. I thought it was doing well. I mean, I was stuck to it like glue on TV. I was like, you know,
makes you wonder if Expedition Bigfoot will get stopped if they get too close. Never know.
Yeah, the brothers back on History Channel in 2017. I didn't know it was that long ago. But wow, yeah.
Time flies, right?
So yeah. But they were getting really close, and and they were tracking down. I was telling Chris, but backstage for the show, they were going to family members' house that had the bones in the early 1900s, because back then they would put them in the, stand them up, and people would take pictures with them and be like, look, we found them out in the farm, out in the field, or he found them in a cave, and people were taking pictures, and people were charging admission, a nickel or 2 cents or something, whatever it was. So
I'm sure there's bones floating around out there.
So yeah, and then I was telling Chris too, like he said, that some of them were donated to a museum, Smithsonian, and then they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't have nothing like that. But they have photographs, and then the photographs disappeared. So I don't know. The show started in 2014, Brian. Okay.
So it went for about 3 years. 2 or 3 years.
So I must have only seen 2 seasons. Maybe I did watch all 3. I don't remember. I got bad memory as it is. So, but yeah. But it was a good show, because some places they were not allowed to dig, which was very weird. They had to use ground penetrating radar and everything, and else, and and it was just strange, because it was a park, or it was a burial mound, and
right,
so yeah, imagine that, Thomas, right? So yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of discoveries in Indian burial mounds. There's tons of that stuff that had been found, dug up.
But do you think that they're get it confused between that and Bigfoot skeletons?
It might be together or one and the same. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Indian burial grounds that have shown excessively large skeletons in them. Now,
right.
we know that we've had some Indian folks talk about, they've got along. They've even traded with Bigfoots, and maybe at one point in time they colluded more. I don't know. Maybe it's just Bigfoots or Sasquatch, and they're calling it Indian burial. I mean, some of them they say they find artifacts, and there's other ones where they don't. So that kind of makes you wonder. You know what I mean?
we know from interviewing people that Bigfoot practiced medicine. Okay. So we know that allegedly they got that from the Indian tribes, supposedly. All right. So they borrow and barter herbs and spices,
I'm
So
sure they
I don't
use
know.
tools too, right? I mean, they can figure out how to open up car doors and do just all kinds of different things. So I wouldn't see why they wouldn't have
Well,
tools as well.
look at that cave where they found the flip-flops.
I hadn't heard
Remember
about that
that?
one.
Oh, come on. And Thomas, Crazy Witch, remember that cave where they found the flip-flops that were, I don't know how many thousand years old, and it would like fill up like maybe 3 of my feet. I think they could be mixed up. I don't know the level of any DNA was done, but the problem is with DNA, Brian, is that unless you have your own scientist and something to compare it to, you're not going to get anything back. That's the problem, because we know the G-Man. I said it right. I said it right now, so we don't get penalized. The G-Man has the DNA. So Crazy Wit says, I have mounds in the area where large skeletons were found, and they dug some up. Wow. In your area? Lovelock, yeah. Russell says yes. So saw that episode, made the reads, the reels, the reads, the reels. So yeah, yes, the made of reeds. That is correct. Yes, the see, he did. The flip flops are made of reeds. Yes,
that's cool.
So yeah, that's right. I had to stop and think what he was saying, but yes, that is correct. So, and then did show signs of intelligence. So, I mean, are they, Goliath out of, the biblical term of the Bible, or are these, or the ones from the war? And what was it, Afghanistan, where they fought the giant, the red-headed giant?
Mm-hmm. It
So,
makes you wonder. And why is there such a cover up for it as well? Just like Bigfoot. They covered that up. The Afghanistan thing they cover up. And you heard about the giant / Bigfoot conspiracy guy that was on TikTok, right? That ended up getting followed by the G-Men. And later on, he was forced to disclose that what he saw was not real. Then 3
the
days
one on the
later,
mountain.
3 days later, he's like, "Oh wait, everything I saw was real, and I think I'm in danger." And a month later, they find the guy dead. So yeah, and he saw something on the mountain and kept trying to go up there, and he was turned around a couple times, and eventually they followed him home, and they were all over him after that. But I mean, that just shows you there's some kind of cover up. Why is that? I don't know. What are they trying to hide? What are they trying to keep from us knowing? Is it that way you can't handle the truth? I mean, they're telling us about UFOs now, right? Did everybody freak out? That was what everybody was saying. Oh, people couldn't handle that truth. Now they're telling us. I didn't see everybody go crazy.
I don't think people realize the importance of them. I don't. Let me say it this way. Until the UFO lands and they actually film it, I think when all hell's going to break loose. I don't think really people's paying that much attention. I think they're like, yeah, we know something's out there, but I think a lot of people think it's more government, secrecy, government planes, whatever. But I don't think
it's an obvious soft disclosure, right? We kind of figure that.
It is.
So, and you're right. If aliens show up and start blasting buildings down, then all hell's going to break loose, and that would happen no matter whether we knew about it or not. Same thing with giants. You start seeing giants walking around the earth, all of a sudden all hell's going to break loose. You know what I mean? whether we know about it existing or in the past, I don't think is prevalent to why they're hiding stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll stop and think. They would have to rewrite history all over, wouldn't they?
Oh, there's a reason why we have history that they have given us, but it
I mean,
would
they would. I mean,
it
they
would
would have to.
make everything we've known a lie.
Darwin would be wrong. Everything would be wrong.
Evolution, yes. There's a lot of stuff they're trying
Just
to
like the
protect there.
Vatican vaults. I love to know what's in there.
Oh, you and everybody. And then there's the stories of islands of Sardinia, and there's all kinds of other places that have dug up giant bones, and people have spoke about it, and they were basically directed to go bring them to the church. They put them on tables, and next day they bring more giant bones. The bones from the previous day are gone, vanish overnight. Nobody knows where they go, but apparently ends up at the Vatican under the vaults with the Lost Ark and all the Smithsonian stuff. As you see it at the end of Raiders and Lost Ark, right? When they're bringing the forklift in and sticking it in their warehouse.
Now the big warehouse.
Yeah, that's what I picture when I think of that. But it makes you wonder why, though. Ultimately, why would even the Vatican want to hide stuff like that?
Now, Rebecca says, hey, Aussie Sue, saying crazy. Rebecca says, I heard there are 3 or 4 giant statues and one in Florida, I think, underwater. Now, I know they discovered a giant statue underwater somewhere. I don't remember where that was.
I know they dug up some giant stuff from underwater. As a matter of fact,
Sean,
I've got a couple articles talking about that. What's up, Mr. Sean?
Now that's very interesting. So that really is. But if we have it written down in the Bible, biblical reference, and we have it from people, back from the 14th, 15th, 1600, whatnot. And didn't even the Romans have it written down too?
I believe so, yeah. Now, why would that be covered up? Now, you think the Catholic Church it would want you to believe in the giants and want you to believe the Bible, right? I mean, that's kind of the premise of it.
Well, David
why
and Goliath.
Why would they cover that up? Why would they cover it up? I don't get it.
That I don't know.
Unless it's corrupt.
That's why God flooded the earth, right? To get rid of the Nephilim, the giants. The bloodline, the DNA. So
yeah, because they basically infected all the humans and corrupted their DNA. Exactly it.
Right. So I mean, are we coming to an age now to where you cannot hide the history, and it's going to come out? Rebecca says they said they're waking them up. They're waking up the giants, or we are waking up. Brian says it makes sense because where do all these 6'6" and up to 8 foot come from? They're genetic anomaly, just hidden in DNA somewhere. So, Brian, a lot of people, they say the reason why we're getting these 6'6", 7 foot, 7'3", whatever, Andre the Giant people, is the DNA that was mixed with Nephilim and ancient aliens when they mixed the DNA and whatever. And this is where it's showing up. This is why we have the different blood types as well, and different, R negative, O negative, and all that other stuff. That's just some theories is what's going around. So
And because
Yeah, ancient Greeks and Romans had
it
giant swords.
doesn't seem like 8 foot was a big surprise, given what you researched that was in the Indian mountains. I mean, throughout just U.S. alone had tons of them. I mean, just 8 foot was pretty common. I pulled up a whole bunch of different articles, and they all talk about 8 foot skeleton. And from Florida through Ohio, Georgia, Kentucky, I mean, you name it. Pretty much everything from the plains to the east had Indian mounds. And they all seem to be burial sites, right?
But well, I mean, now I don't know what show there was. I don't know if I can pull it up or not, but let me see if I can see here. Louisville National Airport. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of the burial mound. Now, of course, I did on another show. Now I can't find it. So the Louisville National Airport, it's called Muhammad Ali now. They have an Indian burial ground, and they wanted to expand the airport. And I found it. Here we go. And they would not allow them to
Expand on it.
expand because of the burial mound. So the government said, the heck with you, G-Man, sorry, said the heck with you. And they went ahead and did the eminent domain. And voila, look what they did.
Built around it.
They built around it. They put a chain link fence up around it and built the airport up around the Indian burial mound. Now, is that not a crack of BS? I mean, look at that. Yes.
Humanity, right?
And the only reason I knew about that is because I used to work off duty there. And we used to go up over there because there's a chain link fence that runs all the way around there. And we used to walk over there. And because the airplanes, we used to get the money, the gold bars and the jewelry and the foreign currency off there for Brinks and all the armored car companies. And I forgot what tribe and whatnot, but they tried to fight it. And they were like, eminent domain, we win, we trump. And they're like, you can't build on it. They're like, we got you. We ain't gonna build on it. We built around it. And they put a chain link fence up, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Now go figure on that.
There's always ways around stuff, right? Even protecting land,
is that not crazy though?
Yeah, it is.
I can't remember what show I showed that on.
Oh, goodness.
But,
you know what happens when you build on that Indian burial ground, right? It's usually bad things.
Well, hey, I've seen extra poltergeist. I've seen what happens when you build on a graveyard. Now, wait a minute. Hold up. Now, what's the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery? I learned the difference. You know what the difference is?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, when I watch it, watch I get this one wrong. A graveyard is attached to a church. A cemetery is not. There we go. I got it right.
Doesn't matter. Just a bunch of dead bodies in the ground. Maybe some are blessed more than others. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery.
Learned something new today.
So yeah,
did not know that.
So Rebecca says Goody claimed that they learned from smart glass pads and the secret space program that ancient giants used was that chambers to preserve themselves within. I just read about that today about one of the Anakis said that there's supposed to be one of those chambers still in a sleep chamber.
Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Really? I wouldn't be surprised.
So but yeah, I mean, but do they still exist today? Because people are coming up with footage. I mean, in the people over in Afghanistan, the one that, came across that one in the cave, they had to sign non-disclosures, NDAs, and they still talked about it. So, all of them, are they liars?
Probably not.
So,
Probably not.
So what evidence do you have or information that you want to show?
I did a little bit of digging here. Let me share the screen. All right, share screen. And, the right one here. Right one.
Well, see, that's my thing. If they're still being seen, that means there's a breeding population. The rumor is, Brian, is that the government is actually working with Nephilim right now, or giants underground and underground bases. So,
all right, so I did some research and I found some articles that were cool. This one was it was late 1800, early 1900. I didn't actually capture the date on it, but it was one we were talking about giant bones in the water. This was giant bones found in Florida, Silver Springs, matter of fact, which is near Ocala. Human skeletons found submerged burial chamber where so large that the persons who viewed them expressed the belief that the man of the primitive race attained a height of 7 feet. So that's just an example. There's a bunch of stuff I found, and I'm just going to kind of comb through some of them. 1934, there were skeletons of 9 individuals were discovered in some shallow waters, again, in an inlet, and others beneath the nearby sand. All the men were unusually tall and must have been sturdy giants in their day. One shin bone was almost twice the length of an ordinary shin bone today. Twice the length means probably twice the height, right?
yeah, I would assume.
1880 in Ohio. Those first two are in Florida. This is from the Cincinnati Enquirer. There's a mound, Indian mounds, which these remarkable discoveries are made. There's 64 feet long. This is the actual mound, and 30 feet wide on top. So it's a big, giant mound of dirt. In one grave, there's 2 skeletons, and the male, in this case, there's a male and a female buried together. He was 9 feet 4 inches, and the female was 8 feet. And it was weird. They put her like face down, and him immediately on top of her, facing up, like back to back. It was a weird situation if you read it. Another grave there was found another female skeleton, and she was encased in a clay coffin, holding her arms and a child of 3.5 feet long. And we'll go back too far. And there's remaining 7 others that were in there, and basically the smallest of the 7 was 9 feet in length, and the largest was 10 feet in length. So pretty big sizes, right? 9-10 foot. Here's an example of one. This is I can't remember which one this was at. This is in 1883. John Emmerich, employed in the Bureau of Ethnology and the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, has lately explored the Mount Bristol, Tennessee, and secured some interesting and vulnerable, I don't know why I say it, vulnerable Indian relics. Among other things, the mound was found a skeleton of a gigantic Indian. Now, they always keep telling people they're Indians, but were they? Did they know for a fact these were Indians?
See, I
Or
never
maybe
really,
the Indians were giant back then.
I never seen a giant Indian. I mean, am I wrong, ladies and gentlemen?
I
Have
keep
you
coming
ever
across
seen a
it. It
giant
makes me
Indian?
wonder. Here's another example of a Indian burial ground. This is New York Times, April 5th, 1886. Acres of skulls and bones. Some of these were gigantic. This is something that was uncovered. There was a flood or something, and water was receded from this mound field, and this is what they found. And the whole frame of one of them's two thigh bones were found. Their owner must have stood 14 feet high. 1886. But they're going to tell you these guys don't exist, right? You know, all these are just accounts from newspapers what I found. There's another one in 1884, skeleton of a man 9 foot 2 inches high. Here's a picture of the Etowah Mounds in Georgia, which is pretty famous. They're big ones, some huge ones. And they had a lot of discoveries in there as well. This is just an example of some of the Indian mounds, just Ohio. And there's just as many in Florida, Kentucky, Virginia. They're all over the place. Here's one in Crystal River, Florida. This is Ocmulgee Mountains in Georgia. This is just an example of another guy, 1753 and 1820 through 1826. He was an author and he wrote about giants. So he's the father of Tennessee history, and he has a whole book, and he talks about all these accounts where they dug up giants and what they did. They compared the size of the bones to themselves, and it's pretty crazy. I read some of it. Here we got Abraham Lincoln, a quote from him: "The eyes of the species of extinct giant, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as our own eyes do now." There's from your own Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
Now,
And that's
I
what
kind of,
Brian wants to know. They ever use LiDAR on the mounds?
it's a good question.
I
Good
wonder
question.
why if they haven't. That is something interesting. Why haven't they?
I don't know. Maybe nobody's thought about doing it. Good call, Brian. Get on it. It'd be a neat thing to try and see if they'd even let you. I mean, a lot of them you can visit and you can walk on them, and you see stairs on a lot of them. So it'd be an interesting thing to try out. So, based on giants, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many different aspects, and there's a lot of people think a lot of stuff that's even bigger than giants and petrified trees. Like this is the Devil's Tower, I think, in Arizona, I
Yes.
believe,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like a giant tree stump, and it's cut clean off the top. I mean, it's pretty neat. When you really get back and look at it, it does have a lot. So this kind of a friend of mine sent me some stuff, so I was kind of diving into a little bit, and I thought there's some interesting things to show just for fun, whether there's really pareidolia that comes from it or if it's real. But I mean, there are petrified trees we know of, right? And I found some pretty neat stuff that kind of makes you go, hmm. So, like, this is a dead tree, for example, right? There's another dead tree. Could be a dead tree. Pretty big one if it was. Or it could be just a volcano. I don't know. But it's an interesting concept. Thought that was neat. And that's Harda Dant Mountain in Yemen is what that place was. But you can see almost those like roots coming up.
Yeah, it sure
But,
does.
and here is a petrified tree. I mean, it turns to the stone. That almost looks like the slabs of meat I was talking about. Grizzly.
Huh.
I'll never look at Himalayan sea salt again. If you take slices of that and it could look like just like meat. Here's just some examples: trees and what maybe once was a giant tree. Maybe some people think stone's not stone. It was other things. And here we go again with the Devil's Tower. Just chopped off. It's interesting is the way it comes down. I mean, it looks like it could be a tree.
And it's weird that you put it up like that, since side by side.
Mm-hmm. So there's some videos I want to show from a guy named Hangman1128 on YouTube, and this is just a screenshot of it. Let me pull up the video, and he's got some pretty cool stuff. And he talks about these petrified trees, but he's looking at these are stone, and he's showing you stuff that makes you really think he's got a point. So he thinks these are giant trees that are now petrified. And I mean, there's some possibility that it could be real. Let's see if I'm going to play a little bit of this. Just a couple snippets of a few different videos he's got. If you ever want to watch them, they're pretty interesting. That's why I shared his name. Now that's going back to that is just a normal piece of wood. So he's kind of sharing you what a piece of wood looked like. That's not petrified. It's just a current falling apart piece of wood, degrading. Then he starts going in and showing you areas that this I thought was cool. The sap petrified here is actually turned into quartz. So you can actually see these sections here are now quartz, which was sap at one point in time. You can see the stone. And he shows some stuff that's really just pretty cool. And the size of them are insane. Right? So I always thought this stuff is slate, but you start looking at it closely and it makes you wonder. All right, I'm going to jump to the other one real fast. I got 3 of them set up. And this one kind of starts the same thing. So he starts off showing some spots. And it shows you kind of how these things look similar. These chunks. Now look at the size of these. Well, this thing is over here is massive. It's showing you wood grain from a piece of wood. You see how it all looks. And this, they all lay in the same direction, like it was a giant tree that fell down. Now, how massive would this tree have to be this tall? I'm not saying it is, but there's some interesting thoughts. See how they're all laying in the exact same direction. Now he gets up on the mountain and you can see them in lines.
It is interesting.
And then here's one more he's got. So in this one, you can kind of see a different aspect of it. He's way up high now. And I thought this was a pretty cool. He's got a bunch of videos. He's got probably 30 videos of this stuff. And he's got even one where he breaks off chunks. But now he's showing you what these look like. Trunks of trees that used to be vertical. Wow. Are they giant trees? I don't know. Very cool. So what do you do to get a tree like that chopped off? You got to have a giant axe. So there's this Momo wing axe that's, I don't know where it's at. Can't remember where I saw it, but it looks like literally a giant wing axe. So thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, that's what you got to do to chop down trees that size. And here's some other cool stuff that's Some people think they're giants sleeping in the stone or become petrified at some point in time.
Yeah,
They
I
may.
heard legends about that, especially the trolls.
Mm-hmm. So you'll see all these different. I don't know if they're sleeping giants, but you can make out stuff. This might be the sleeping princess in Vegas. I don't know. There's one in Vegas that you can see. Some pretty cool stuff. I mean, again, a lot of it could be just paranoia. Kind of neat though. I don't know if that's carved or if that's naturally like that, but I thought it was pretty cool. Now here we got a petrified alien head or something. I don't know what it is,
It's
but
something.
kind of looked alien to me. So there's another hand. This one they turned it sideways, but obviously it's probably near some water. Looks like. I thought these were pretty cool. Some big giant indentions. Could just naturally be that way. Never know. Just erosion, but or somebody carved it out. If not, that's a pretty big footprint. And that's it for that. So that's what I had to share. Just found some pretty cool stuff, but things that make you wonder. There seems to be a lot of evidence out there of, besides the petrified thing. I thought that was just a different aspect I thought was neat, but just in general for all the newspaper clips out there, all the history that's out there, but yet we don't have really much to show for.
Yeah.
You can't find these in museums, right?
No, but we can find dinosaurs, we can find insects and new creatures, a new hominoid, a new midget, or no, I'll take that back. I don't know what they call the little 3-foot hominoid or what do they call it,
Yeah,
goblin
I'm
or
not sure.
whatnot. They found in an African cave or whatever it's called. Sean, Rebecca, Brian, whatever it's called, but that skipped evolution, and they said that it did exist, the gnomes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it such a stigmata about giants? What is the big deal? I mean, the
My
proof's
personal,
out there.
my personal opinion, I think it goes against the grain of what they've been telling us and teaching us and want us to know. Obviously, they protect it pretty heavily.
But
So if
why?
they don't want you to know something, then maybe it exposes the truth of something else, such
Yeah,
as
Sean, smaller than a pygmy. I can't remember what the homeless floor. I knew Crazy Witch somebody would come up with the term.
forensics.
So
Oh,
yes. So, but what's the big deal? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you lie, cheat, or steal, it's always going to come out. You can only hide the secret for so long. The truth's going to come out. I mean, we learned the other day, yesterday, today's Monday, right? Yeah, yesterday, that they are doing DNA from air now.
eDNA, yeah. They can
No,
do it from soil.
no,
No?
eDNA, environmental DNA, has been around from water, soil, and all that. Touch DNA, they've got now. They can do it from the air. So I don't know what they call that, but eDNA has been around because
I
they've been
think they
doing that
probably
on.
capture it from the air and use the eDNA technology, but I don't know how you would sample that.
So yeah, but
But
like I said, Brian, I never seen a tall Indian. Very rarely do you see a tall Hispanic. Because each of the ethnic backgrounds are usually across the board when it comes to height and everything, right? They're generalized. There certain height restrictions, you know. So
why were there so many tall ones? I mean, why are these so many burials of these that exist? That I mean, I almost guarantee every single one of them have skeletons or had skeletons that were 8 feet or bigger. I mean, that's just, and now nobody's 8 foot tall on average. So are these giants or Nephilim or what are they? Or just really tall Indians? I think the Indians personally is a disguise because they use that as a ploy to protect and keep people from questioning things. Oh, that's protected. It's, that's an Indian burial ground. And I'm sure some of them are. I mean, there's probably legit ones that they need to do that. I don't know what practices they use for burying their dead. So that'd be a good question to talk to some of our, indigenous friends that are out there to say, is that something in history that has always happened? And,
but see, that's the problem. A lot of them won't talk to you
talk
about
it. Yeah.
Certain things like that. I mean, and that's the problem, I just don't get it. So because there was a cave up in Canada by Niagara Falls where they found a bunch of skeletons back in the early 1900s. That show I was talking about, found the newspaper article, tracked down the people that found them, the family members, and the family member said they donated the remains to Smithsonian. They went to the Smithsonian. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm. That's
So
happened time and time again. So I've actually read a whole bunch of different articles, and I can't tell you how many of them say donated or somebody from the Smithsonian came and took them to bring them back, and then people go back years later and ask, hey, where are those at? Oh, we don't have your record of that. It's right here in the newspaper. You took it. What'd you do with it?
And
why the cover up?
Well, that too, and I want to know too. My question is are they Bigfoot? Or some of them Bigfoot?
I think there's a good chance of that.
But how could we confirm that? That's the question.
Maybe then we'd have to do DNA tests on the bones or something like that, and we'd have that where it's half mother, half the paternal side. We wouldn't know. It'd be the unknown DNA, as we already know that's the case. So, Brian, we need to take some of your poop and get it checked.
Yeah, right. Or we can reach out to Randy or Randall and ask him, did that juvenile have double row teeth?
It's a good question. It had 2 hearts, so who knows?
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen pictures, of the skulls with double row teeth. Now, why would they have double row teeth? I don't know. Sharks have rows of teeth because they lose them, right? So they have to replace them. Hey, Ruby Joe. Welcome to the show. My daughter lived in Houston for a while. When I visited, we went to Walmart. I saw a native that must have been over 7 foot tall. My jaw dropped. Wow. Was that Hispanic or was that indigenous, like Indian?
I think she's referring to it being indigenous.
So
we should try to get Randy on.
I wonder if he would come on. Indian, she says. Yeah. Even Russell says Smithsonian's a black hole. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Russell. So Smithsonian is. I would love, between that and the Vatican, I would love to go in their archives and just to dig around. I'd probably disappear and never come back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. just like
Lady
everything else.
Wolf 7'3".
Yeah.
Whoa!
So there are some, right? And that crossover makes you wonder. I think I've seen pictures of some tall Indians before, so I wouldn't be surprised. But 8 foot, I mean, we're talking 8, 9, 10 foot. It's getting pretty big. And you still don't see them that big now. You think you would if that was.
She said Cherokee. So
I know
yeah,
there's certain lines of Indians I know are taller than others.
I can almost guarantee Randy would come on as long as he got to tell his whole story. We would probably all disappear. So if y'all don't know what Randy, maybe we'll reach out to Randy and try to see if he wouldn't mind coming on the show, because if you don't know about Randy and his story, ladies and gentlemen, it will freak you out.
Yeah, it's one of
So
the craziest stories I think I've heard thus far. And there's so many little spin-off stories that he was kind of, he left open-ended. I almost had a lot more questions for him just along the way as him telling that story. We could reserve 3 hours for that freaking show. It would take a while.
Yeah. Brian says him and Randy chat daily and wants to get the truth out because the fact of what they did to Mike, to the juvenile. So
Yeah.
but I want to
bug
know
in his ear, Brian.
Yeah. There you go, Brian. I want to know if the juvenile had double roll teeth. Brian, find out if he had double roll teeth, double sets of teeth. So that's one thing I would like to know.
One of those clips that I was reading said something. Hold on, let me pull it back up if I can find it. Darn it, I closed it. It said something about the missing teeth on the skeletons, which I thought that was peculiar.
Yolano says, Google the John of Pueblo, Mexico. The guy is a 2-3 cousin of my husband, but he died at a young age because he was so tall. Wow. Sean says, my daughter has double row. Really, Sean?
What? I didn't even know people could have that.
I did not know that either. Brian says, I know it had rectangle fangs. Yes, I know that from Val. And a couple other people reported that. Yes. Thought we were talking about something else. Oops. Crazy Witch, what are you talking about? I must have missed something on you, Crazy Witch.
Yeah, I did too. All right, so I found that article, and that's the one in Muscombe County, Ohio. They had the man and wife, or apparently male and female, buried together. Then I had 7 that were found single graves that were lying on their sides. They put them in on their sides, which was odd. And the smallest of the 7 was 9 feet, and the largest 10. One single circumstance connected with the discovery of the fact that not a single tooth was found in either mouth except for in one that was buried with the babies. The one that was a mom with the children in the clay coffin, those had teeth. All the rest of them didn't have teeth.
So they pulled them.
Yeah, I wonder what they did with that. Or if that was a
No,
ceremony
I
or
mean,
something they would do. I mean, that'd be just
no.
weird.
Why would you pull somebody's teeth? Because that's desecrating the body. You wouldn't want to do that. I mean, why would you serve? I mean, yeah, that to me that would not make sense.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Lady Wolf says, Grizzly, I too had double roll of teeth, surgically removed at 15, and braces right after. Whoa. Well, I'd like to know your all's DNA, and I would like to have genealogy test on you all. That is wild.
Lady Wolf has some Indian in her, I believe.
Yeah, it's Cherokee, I think she says. I think her back in earlier, Shauna makes you a forced man, Tammy Johnson says. Devereaux teeth. I didn't know that still happened today. That is, she says, by the way, hello, everybody. Lady Wolf says, yeah, Cherokee, she says, yeah.
That's crazy. Could not know that.
She says painful. Yeah, I know. No, I've seen a video how they do the implants. Oh, hell to the where they drill the old and screw and then no, I'm good. I'm good.
They go all the way down to your jawbone.
No, I will use chiclets if I ever lose my teeth. I'm sorry. At least I have flavor. So yeah, Tammy, I didn't know humans had double teeth. I didn't know. No, I didn't either.
That's a new one to me too. I had no clue. Never heard that before, ever.
I'm not trying to get too personal, Lady Wolf. How full-blooded are you? What's your percentage? Do you know? Because maybe the giants are mostly Indians then, and maybe not Bigfoot. I don't know.
Or maybe Bigfoot was.
They did
more closely
interbreed,
related
allegedly.
back then, you know. They might have been more closely related. Yeah,
that's
probably why they don't talk about it much.
Brian, my problem is I probably wouldn't have any teeth because I keep on numbing them or chewing on them or something.
Grinding.
Yeah, see what happened to your teeth. I chewed them up. Yeah, no. If my buddy wasn't watching the show, I would tell you a story about some chiclets, but I'll probably get them mad. So, but I'm native, but I'm far from being a giant. Well, I didn't ask how tall you were, Leonda. Lady Wolf, I believe my grandma said my generation, at least half. Wow.
Well, 50%.
So you're half. Tammy, I've seen a few babies born with teeth. Now that was wild to see. Born with teeth? Crazy Witch, there's a tribe in the Amazon jungle that has 12 fingers and 12 toes.
What? Now they talk about giants having 6 and even 7 digits, having more digits than people.
Rebecca, my son-in-law has double teeth and is Indian blood. I think we need to do a little more research on this subject now. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yolanda, are you Apache? Wow, this actually turned out very, I agree. Interesting. Yes, sir. I think they contribute to what happened. I actually learned a lot tonight on this show then. I never knew that.
That could be, Lady Wolf. You talking about your situation, I'm thinking, is what you're referring to there.
What situation? I'm lost.
Yeah, what happened in her past when she had an encounter.
Oh. Roger Blair. Majority of my family around 6 foot tall. My family comes from Scotland, Ireland, and surrounding areas. Some married into the Cherokee and Delaware tribe in the early and the mid 1700s. Tammy Johnson, I'm learning a lot well tonight too. Hey, Godhead Testify, welcome to the show. Yeah, it is very interesting. I never realized that. I thought it was only the giants that had the Devereaux teeth. I always did wonder about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and there's another term.
Now I definitely want to know what he says about that.
Yeah, Brian's going to check on that. Hit us up on Messenger because I won't be able to. This is going to be stuck in my mind.
Oh yeah,
you know, because I want to know, if his playmate actually had double-row teeth now. Norma, we know the giants existed because of what we know about what is it? Tarzan? Torturia.
And
The buildings during the spirit were huge or modified to cover it up. Yeah, I do. See, and here's the problem, Norma. What is the big deal? Okay. So we know that G-Man, whatever, United Nations, whoever you want to call them, want us to only know what they want us to know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we are at the technology age that we are finding out stuff ourselves. You can only, if you lie, cheat, or steal, it's always going to come out, and I always say this during the interview process, even on the civilian side, when I work for the companies, the truth will always set you free, and it will. But what is such a big deal? So what are you going to go back and rewrite history books? I mean, you got David and Goliath. Did that actually happen? Well, if you believe in the
Very
Bible,
well
it did.
could be. Very well could have been.
I messaged him, but I think he's off for the night. Those rectangle fangs were like snake fangs. That's what a lot of people report. A lot of report too is that Sasquatch or Bigfoot, however you want to call it or him or she, can dislocate its jaw like a snake.
Oh wow!
And make it come open even wider. Have you ever heard that, Chris?
No, I haven't. That's kind of interesting too.
Yes. What do you know about the Smithsonian losing giant skeletons, Grizz? Yeah, they lose everything. That's what we know about Godhead.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
The black hole.
Definitely lose it all, just like the Raiders in Lost Ark.
So yeah, that's the problem. And I and Chris would love to go into the Vatican, the Smithsonian, but I guarantee if we ever did get in there, like Mission Impossible, we probably never will be ever seen again, right? They're probably whitelisted.
What gives them all the right to hide all this information?
Right.
This is all of our rights to know this stuff too.
Just what Norma just said. Why lie?
It's you got good and evil. Everybody knows it. There's an opposite to everything. If you don't have one thing, the other thing doesn't exist. So we all know good and evil exist. And if you have things on your conscience and you lie about it, like you said, Grizzly, eventually the good overrides and most people will want to speak the truth because they want to get it off their chest. They want to get it off their conscience and things come out. So how long can you lie about things? And you got podcasts like this and many others out there and the internet. Information's going around so fast they can't stop it. So I think things come out quicker about all of us talking about it, just like tonight.
Yeah. Now, the Dogman. The thing though is that, and I'll say this, and then I say it on many shows, ladies and gentlemen, is that there are things that walk upon this earth that we do not realize exist. Okay, we do not fathom. We do not understand, nor have the understanding or concept that they exist on our reality or plane, or however you want to state it or put it. And I say this because there are things that people cannot grasp. We are taught, from an early age what is real and not real. And, when that show came out, Searching for Giants or Lost Giants or whatever Rebecca showed us the title of it, man, that I was like, my God, they're really doing a show on this because it was so informative. They had, just like Chris did, they had the newspaper articles, they went to states, they traveled, they went to mounds, they used LIDAR, ground penetrating radar, they use all kinds, but they weren't allowed to dig. They were in some national parks, and where they got too close, they're like, stop. You cannot dig. No dig. They wanted to drill a hole and put these little, what do you call those, scopes or microscope? Oh, we're not a microscope. That's what you look through.
Little probe scopes.
Yeah. you know, to go through the walls, the chambers, to look in there and see what was in there, and they wouldn't let them do it. It's like, man, it's only a half-inch hole. You know, I mean, come on, man, just a little. I mean,
Well,
they're
because they'll
masonry people. They
they'll
they
expose
can
the
patch it
truth.
right up.
They'll expose the truth. They don't want that. I mean, just look at the megaliths that are out there. These huge structures that exist that they have no idea to this day how most of them even got made, like Machu Picchu in Peru. I mean, just a lot of these places are very well guarded, and they keep you from digging, they keep you from probing, and they cover it up. It's weird. I mean, there's stuff like that throughout the world that they won't let you expose too much.
You know what I want to know before we let everybody go tonight? What I want to know the truth is that cave in the Grand Canyon with all of the artifacts they found from you know where. Egypt.
I didn't hear
All
about
the
this one.
artifacts. You never heard of that?
I didn't hear about this one. No. Now I know to start searching.
What?
found me
Ladies and
another
gentlemen, he has
found me
never
another
heard
rabbit
of
hole.
that at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The Kincaid is that what it's called, Sean? The Kincaid? Somebody, what is the name of that cave? Is Sean? Is that what you're trying to tell me? It's the cave at the bottom of the Grand Canyon that was found in the 18 something. You
Hey,
never
Brian's
heard of
with
that
me.
either, Brian? What? Yes. Brian, Sean says yes, it is the Kincaid. Yes, where that famous explorer found that cave. It looked like a keyhole. And he walked in there, and there was glass, picture glass, whatever you call it. All
Oh, that's
these
cool.
Egyptian artifacts. Yes, he was an explorer. Yes, Yolanda is a tunnel from the Grand Canyon to Egypt. Yeah, yeah. See, man, I thought I was going crazy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at them now. Looking at pictures.
Yes, they had armed guards stand there and guard it. I don't know if they still got it guarded, but they got it blocked off. You are not allowed to go. I forgot how many. I mean, they got it a huge area blocked off. You can't even get to it. Nowhere near it. So yes. So he threw something up here. Let's see what it is.
Was this stuff? Pictures of
Yeah, there was
Kincaid
all
Cave.
kinds of stuff inside the cave.
That looks like some mummy Egypt stuff. You're right. I mean,
But that yes, and so and you know, and they're like, well, Christopher Columbus, you know, discovered America. Well, Christopher Columbus did not discover America. You know, and a Santa Maria and a Pinta Maria or whatever the dang on ships were called back then. I can't remember the history ships now. But yes, they got that. Maybe, yeah. I cannot believe you didn't know about that.
nah, I never heard of that. Interesting.
But, yeah,
That's
but
wild.
man,
They do look Egyptian.
they had armed guards there. Yeah, they got statues. They got everything in there. And they're like, "What in the world is going on?" They're like, well, "What, you know?" Because who was it? And then we'll wrap up. It was Val. Boy, I got so excited calling him Al. Val, they got compromise. No, is it? No, not Val. Who was it? Was it Val? Well, anyways, there's compromise in Michigan, and I want to say Val, and I
Oh,
could
he's
be
in Michigan,
wrong,
so it might be him.
and I may be wrong, and no, maybe it's Decker because you know he's from Michigan too.
Oh yeah,
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 Ninta,
he is.
Pinta, and Santa Maria. And thank you, Judy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Round of applause for you. But the copper mines in Michigan match the copper over in Egypt. The same molecules in the structure in the, what do you call it when you look underneath that little thing where it tells you the formula of the metals? I can't even think of nothing.
Oh, you're talking
tonight.
about the elements?
Yes, the elements, the same molecule structures and element structures, the chemical makeup.
Right.
That all come from Michigan. And they could not believe it, that they were coming over here, mining the copper and taking it over to Egypt during the Bronze Age and back then.
Wow.
And yeah, and they're like, oh, how do we explain that? Well, I'll tell you how they explain that. They had ships. Because then that's how they got those blocks of down there to the pyramids, because they had a river back then, remember, by the pyramids, allegedly. Yeah. Now we're going into another show. But anyways, yes, Norma, that is Decker. Yes, that was Decker. Thank you. Yeah, it was Decker. So yeah,
wow, that's cool.
But I'm gonna have to do some more homework on the Indians and double roll teeth. Brian is going to check with our buddy to see if we can get him on a show, right? And the double roll teeth. So, Brian, that is your go. But now don't worry about it. So, hey, Crazy GT. I mean, I can never say that real fast. So I love that name. Welcome to the show. You got to go back and listen to this one. Yeah, spectrometer. That is it. Yes. Where you can take, like my UFO, right, that I play with is my little fidget spinner.
I was going to say, it looks like a spinner. Yep.
Yeah, it is. My little fidget spinner. See, I play with during the show. If I'm not playing with that, I'm playing with my TINS unit that shocks me.
Start jumping sideways. I don't know what happened.
I just hurt myself doing that.
You better put it on your neck next.
I just hurt myself.
Even though you're not supposed to.
Yeah, right. But no, I got it spaced out like in anyways. You know,
yeah, those things
works.
Yeah,
but no, Brian, you check on that. And yes, but I couldn't believe that though. The copper structures, water keeps it alive. But I couldn't believe that when they found the copper over in Egypt and they matched it to the Michigan the copper mines, I was like, whoa. I'm like, man, I actually had to fact check that just to make sure. Because, you know, some people will say something, and I'm not saying people are wrong, but, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, today's age, you can't even trust the internet anymore. Lady Wolf, agree, Lana, because I never wrapped my head around men lift those stones, built the pyramids. Now some Bigfoot created labor. And there's another story. We can do a show on that about how Bigfoot got here on Earth. We got theories on that, people tell us. Hey, Nana Boss, welcome to the show. So yes, we got many topics we can cover. So, what do you think, Chris? You did good.
Yeah, it definitely sparked up some interest. I'm definitely intrigued about the double rows of teeth in the Indians.
Yeah, I am too.
That out. We got to find that out.
So Brian, you got some tasks to work on. So you know how to get hold of both of us. Brian, you got my messenger. You got Chris's messenger.
Let's see if we can get them on for next Monday. Monday.
Threw out the Facebook link up there live. So if you want to join our Facebook group, go ahead and sign up. Greatly appreciate it. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, from coast to coast and around the world, that's a wrap. And we'll catch you on the next show and see what we can come up with. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.